planning next steps, research, exchanging items for gold, and realizing that some of the impacts early on are going to have in the overall game of the campaign. These are some of the things we covered in our session tonight, and now I get to talk about them and prepare for the next session after the game. In the campaign of The Last Light, we just finished a session on it, and the players who had bowed out of the game had good opportunity for their characters to exit the game in a good fashion that allowed them to stay in story with their character as they progress them through the levels, as well as give them opportunity should they be able to come back. The other players were able to see how the impacts of early choices have allowed some of the villagers that they have met with and continued to go to for aid and assistance, as well as arms and armor, money exchanging. Their reputations are kind of allowing them to have good impacts with good intelligence and information coming to the party because they're in good standings, as well as good opportunity for them to utilize their skills and their initial paths and what they wanted to accomplish and do in the campaign world. But additionally from that, we did a little bit of talking outside of the game, or just players and GM. So giving them some insights, they had some questions, and I gave them some information on some of the paths that they could have chosen, as well as some of the different things that are going on that initially they could have done, kind of how those have affected or wrapped up or changed since they did not do those kind of mission pieces or quest pieces. But overall, I thought it was great. I like to have good open communication with my players. I don't want them to have big, huge surprises. And sometimes for me as a GM, as I'm putting down different breadcrumbs and laying different story hooks, those types of things in my game worlds, I still process through creatively, as creatively as I can, so that the world stays dynamic and things aren't stagnant, and a mission or a quest that the players could have done when they were level 2 now has been completed. Someone else has done it, and it's no longer there an open question, but it should have an impact, especially if it was a part of the story, onto the overall campaign. So trying to keep myself well versed in what's going on, what I've laid down. Organization, very important, but also just making sure that the players can understand that the game world is dynamic as well. And some of that goes through with breadcrumbs to the players. Sometimes they're not as easily picked up on, but allowing them that kind of insight into the game world, I think it doesn't have to be complete mystery for them. If they understand some of my thought processes and some of the things that I see going on in the game world, I always hope that perhaps it helps keep them engaged very well, take an interest in the game world, as well as see how different actions can impact not only the game world, but their character's story in that game world. Some of the things we also talked about was just reaffirming the length of this campaign. Initially, this was set to go from 5 to 10. I extended it from 1 to 10 just because we had extra time prior to the campaign start. A lot of players were able to start early, so I started them out on that grind in that first tier of level 1 to 5. They're now in that second tier of 5 to 10. They had just achieved 6th level, and so they've got a few more levels before they go. And as we were talking about the end of the campaign, or the planned closure point of this campaign, I thought it was fantastic. One of the players really hadn't thought about what happens when the campaign ends, and had questions about how long is it going to take and everything, and I had to be really honest and say I don't know, because the players actually drive a lot of the tone and the speed and how fast they see those campaign hooks through. But at the end of the story, that campaign would end. And of course, then I talked about kind of my thoughts for what I want to do for my next campaign. While I don't have everything all finalized, I'm thinking about rerunning one of my previous campaigns that I've done, making a few little adjustments and twists to it, and definitely let them know that just because this one is going to close, this campaign is going to close, doesn't mean that the players themselves have to disband. With my Thursday night game, I have it open for open play. I try to keep it all local so that people can actually interact, because I love to be around a table, even though currently we're doing it digital. But also that isn't the end for their characters as well. Their characters will go on unless they plan any type of suicide mission. Who knows how their players are going to affect in game. But if their players make it to that end adventure in the campaign, they'll continue the character's story in different medias, whether it's in one of my campaigns, in someone else's campaign, in their own campaign. So again, I find it sometimes really nice to be able to allow some of that time frame, either before or after the session begins or ends, to have some of that conversation with the players kind of from a macro level. While we're really focused on the story of the characters in the campaign story arc, really good communication with the players is really critical to make sure that they understand your expectations and motivations, and you understand theirs, so that you can better work together to tell those stories collectively. That's what the role-playing is all about, is that collective storytelling. Now, in my last session, I was not able to finish a couple of the maps that I really wanted to prior to this game session, so I've got a lot of work to do this weekend in preparing some maps, getting them out to them. I also have one of my campaigns, another one of my campaigns is going to be closing down this weekend. So we'll have the epilogue this weekend. And additionally, I am starting as a player in one of Angel Art's newest campaigns. It's the Athenaeum campaign, and I'm really excited. The premise is really fun. The players around the table are very creative, and I'm really psyched to be able to dive into it and really play a character that I've really come to really enjoy his characteristics, but look for that kind of self-awareness and character growth as the character is experiencing completely different setting, genre, and interactions with others that normally would not take place with the character. So I'm really stoked. I'm really excited. We're going to have the session 0 this week. And if you're curious about Angel Arts and his channel, fantastic content. Not only does he do RPGs and publishes those RPG tabletop sessions on his YouTube channel, but he also does a lot of play-alongs. Fantastic community he's built up. There are a lot of people who participate in that community, and it's a great community. Make sure you check that out. Additionally, I'm working on some content for our Twitch channel. So we're going to have a video series that we're going to be launching soon. I can't give you a whole lot of details, but a lot of work going on that front. It's going to tie in different passions of mine to role-playing and kind of how I view role-playing as I look at some of my other passions as well. So some content coming soon as we get closer to a launch date. I'll make sure to get those out and get the communities updated from our Facebook page, our YouTube channel, and our Discord channel as well. So lots of new stuff coming, and I hope that some of the insights for after the game has been helpful. Of course, make sure to check out our other videos and leave comments, questions, concerns, and your ideas on how do you communicate with your players after or before sessions to make sure that everybody's on the same page, has good expectations, and keeps the line of communication open for the players and GM, as well as the characters and your game system or game world or campaign world. Let me know what some of your best communication techniques are, and if you found any type of insight or really had great exchanges that you're really proud of, or maybe ones that didn't turn out so good that the community can comment on and look for opportunity to avoid those challenges or improve on repairing any of those challenges. Time to do some after session work, so I'm going to get busy. Have a fantastic night. I hope you enjoyed that video. Here's a link to another video that you may enjoy. Also, make sure you hit that subscribe button to help us grow. If you'd like to support us, make sure you check out the description of the video with some links and leave a comment to let us know where will your adventures take you.